But if you want to see KMT turn this around after that last defeat and come back to win the grand final, make some noise for KMT. It's got quieter again, I must admit.
Seems they don't have quite as many people rooting for them. So, on the flip side, if you want to see SK Gaming win Game 3 and Dreamhack Winter 2013, let me hear you. Pretty one-sided.
Pretty one-sided. Dark Wind comes out from Vanda, then onto Candy. Panda does get a good silence out, and there's a little bit of poke between both teams. Axis does take a Sonic Wave to the face. SK need to be a little bit careful here. They're taking a lot of damage as they're being chased out by KMT, but there isn't such of a great engage this level 1 for KMT, so it shouldn't be caught out. They just need to make sure they don't take too much damage as they run on away. Nif takes one last missy shot to the backside and is going to have to recall because of it. So the ward was still placed. They did get vision around that blue buff SK. Good mystic shot cancels Svenskeren's recall here from Selava. It's going to really delay him. It's going to make him a bit slower to get back onto the map, and it's going to give this invade that KMT are pulling off even more strength and even more weight to it because Svenskeren's not going to be out on the map to do his own red buff for a little bit longer. And in actual fact, he's heading down towards the blue buff because, well, they know KMT's here on the red side and SK cannot come to group and give him the numbers advantage.
They need to be careful though because they've been spotted by this ward, so you can see that SK already are making a move down here, and this could prove to be quite a sticky situation for KMT. We've seen SK punish teams before for coming in for these potential steals. As damage comes out from Candy Panda and Nif, and you got Jezis from the side, so already Jankos is falling behind because Svenskeren is taking his blue, so this whole time Jankos is getting absolutely nothing.
Jezis lands a couple of nice auto attacks down there onto Overpower. Of course, switching their champions from the last game now. Jankos goes back into his jungle, now to his blue. He's going to keep Zaxxas with him, so he's going to help him do these buffs. He's going to help him get the red buff and the wolf camp to try and get himself a little bit blue buff and the wolf camp, sorry, to try and get a bit of extra experience before he heads to the top. Well, he's not going to do the wolf camp, I think. He's just going to do the blue buff, so he heads straight into that top lane to deal with Corki and Sona now. Lee Sin's already at his red, so he's going to hit that level 3 pretty rapidly in comparison to Jankos, but again, walk through all these wards that are in place early. KMT can see him the entire way. There's nothing he can do after getting that red buff towards the lanes, and he's just going to have to continue farming up his jungle. Bottom lane, Selava and Vanda Noob putting a lot of punishment down onto Freddy, but Freddy honestly not lost too much HP. He's just back away from the creeps, making sure he keeps as much health up as possible for when they approach the turret.
So you can see the ping on the map there was around Svenskeren, so they could be trying again to just bully away Zaxxas. A carbon copy of game number 2, Panky, where Zaxxas on Rumble was getting really badly punished from Svenskeren, Candy Panda and Nif, and in doing so is forcing away Zaxxas from his lane. He's missing out on CS again, and in the meanwhile the creeps are doing all the work on the tower.
So this time around though, when they push that aggression home and they make that advantage for themselves, can they hold on to it instead of letting it slip like they did in the last game? Jankos comes down now to help Zaxxas out much earlier than before. Svenskeren goes in there, forces the flag and drag back under the turret to safety. Svenskeren takes turret aggro thanks to the red buff, but they're going to force him out the other side too, and they're going to keep the chase on. Jankos goes first down for first blood to Svenskeren, and Zaxxas is incredibly low too. Double kill for Svenskeren. Overpower's come up, and Svenskeren taking a lot of turret damage. The ignite goes down, but he does safeguard to the creeps, and that should be enough to keep him alive. Svenskeren double kill, walks away.
The plays there from SK Gaming and Svenskeren, so early game, that double kill is going to escalate him into a terror, but he will fall off eventually, so they need to make use of this early advantage. They're looking to push down this tower as well. Overpower coming in to keep this tower alive, but in doing so, he's allowing Jez's free farm in the mid lane and to put down some harassment as well.
Jez is making the most of this time. He now has Zaxxas come down here to try and make sure nothing too much goes to waste, so he's going to have to be careful, especially as he's only level 2. Jez is going to put a lot of damage down onto Zaxxas with just auto attacks, as Orianna can do so well. Jez is lacking mana too, so he is going to back away pretty sharpish, go back to base. But he's got 740 gold, he can buy a couple of tasty items for his return, and when he does return, he's going to meet up with his double Doran's blade, double Doran's ring, sorry, Gragas.
Yep, absolutely. So a painful start here from KMT. SK Game, that's going to give them the world of confidence, as if they needed any more after that second game comeback that we just saw them do. So they're in a really good position right now, SK. They're going to be picking up this tower, Candy Panda picking up the pieces, and that's going to give them the early gold advantage globally as well. So Freddy122 still keeping his tower alive. In fact, okay, I was just about to say they haven't picked up the tower, and then Candy Panda goes ahead and finishes that one off.
Zax's got to be very careful here as Svenskeren is hiding in that tri-bush. Did see the recall from Nif, sees the recall from Candy Panda, but it's a bait as now he's completely surrounded by Svenskeren and friends. Jankos is in the wrong position, but Svenskeren comes in now. Candy Panda's got quite a distance between him, but the red buff slow is there. Zaxus is in full retreat. Candy Panda Valkyries aggressively, but Jankos shows his face now, and they do back away for SK. But again, a little bit annoying onto Zaxus, means he's missing more creeps, means he's missing more time in that lane, and he's further and further behind Freddy.
I've got to say as well, the first Q that Svenskeren landed there, in fact, all that thought because Freddy122 has been terrified, so he's taking a bit of damage underneath his own tower. But I was going to say Svenskeren landed a beautiful Q there to actually set that up in the first place. A blind Q through the wall that caught the very backside of Zaxus. So again, mechanically, Svenskeren's Lee Sin is top notch.
Zaxus finally gets some time in the top lane to farm a little bit on his own, gets that level 4 mark. Bender and Selava back away now. They couldn't stay in this lane because, yes, Candy Panda and Nif are rotating down towards them. Candy Panda and Nif had a chance to buy. He's got a Ruby Crystal and a longsword to his name that Selava didn't have. So if they stayed to fight, their trades would go very much in SK's favour. They have to back up, have to get those items in as much as they can afford at the moment to try and level the playing field.
So Zaxus and Freddy bumping heads to head. But Freddy is stronger right now because he is a level above Zaxus with all the early game harassment that has become of him. So SK Gaming are now actually going to rinse and repeat, taking their duo lane Nif and Candy Panda to bot, and they're going to try and force this tower down as well. While in the meanwhile, Svenskeren just picking up some farm in mid, while Oriana goes back to buy a Chalice of Harmony.
So, 2,000 gold lead here for SK Gaming thanks to those quick double kills onto Svenskeren and the very early turret they gained. CS difference in mid lane is actually a lot closer than I'd expected it to be, considering the roaming we've had from Overpower and the free farm time Jesus has had. Overpower's done a great job at closing that gap back down.
Yeah, and this is where Overpower really shines, I feel, that whatever happens, he's really consistent. He very rarely has a bad game. So again, he's digging in deep here. He's saying, okay, we lost the last game. It's all down to this. There's no point thinking in the past. We've got to think to the present. We've got to think to the future. I'm going to buckle down mid, and I'm going to try and carry my team forward if I possibly can. Because Sullivan Vander are taking quite a bit of punishment at bot lane right now. Top lane Zaz is in all kinds of trouble. So they've got to steady the ship here. Still early days, but the nerves must be jingling around a tiny bit right now for both these squads.
Now, with that top turret falling down so early on, SK have great amounts of control on the top side of the map, and that allowed Svenskeren to just walk in, take away the blue buff, and walk on out again without any contest from KMT. Overpower didn't even come and try and take it over the wall. You do see Svenskeren immediately have to back up to go to his red buff, to go to his blue buff himself to pass that to Oriana. Well, Jarvan appearing in the bottom lane, and they've got a little bit of downtime around them.
So Freddy just eating one tower shot there. He's not really too bothered about that. He's pretty darn tanky with those double Doran's blades and Doran's shield. How much gold does he actually have? Well, just about 800. Meanwhile, Lee Sin sitting on 1,200. 1,200 for Gragas as well. So when he goes back, potentially you could see the Thieves and Holy Grail or the components being built out. So generally, that's what Gragas do, right? A Thieves and Holy Grail to wrap on death cap is the way forward.
Yeah, and we're going to see a very similar build here from Oriana, who currently has her Chalice of Harmony up a little bit sooner. He's in passes that blue buff across to help out with the cooldown reduction and mana regen, of course. Jankos grabbing himself with the red buff. Silver's taking a lot of punishment down in that bottom lane, goes incredibly low and is forced to arcane shift out. Nif is now level 6 and he has his flash and he has his ignite, so Silver's got to be really on the ball here to make sure he doesn't get caught out by that burst.
Yeah, absolutely, because that will be an insta-death if they manage to land it all. Arcane shifting away, doesn't want any more part of this lane, but in doing so, if he goes ahead and recalls, that could spell a free dragon for SK Gaming. In fact, he will be cancelling the recall, and here comes Jankos and Jarvan the fourth down. But with them being so low, with them having the engage tools of both Svenskeren, who's pretty big right now, and Crescendo, that should be a free Drake here for SK Gaming.
Yeah, there's no vision on there at all either from KMT, so they can't go and try and steal it if they want. And SK grab themselves another 1,000 gold to stretch their lead up to 3.5k. Bottom lane, Ezreal does now recall, so Lee Sin's here, and there's a 3v1 onto this poor little Fiddlesticks. But if he's not careful and doesn't get back past that turret pretty rapidly, he could be in a world of pain. So he does back on out of there and get plenty safe enough.
As an AD carry, I must admit, I enjoy watching Fiddlesticks die. He is the most irritating support to play against. Two-shot barrage comes down the bot lane, getting rid of some of those creeps, and Svenskeren will be jumping back onto Nif. And still doing the damage though. It's slow and steady, but at the moment it is winning the race at Panky. And I've got to say that Candy Panda, he's had a really good start here. His confidence must be sky high after that last game, because he played almost perfectly it was very close to flawless. So on Corki, a character that he normally performs extremely well on, and a champion that he feels is very strong in this current patch, I have to feel that if given half a chance, he is going to steamroll again.
Definitely, he's going to do all he can to do this. That you see a comfortable trade back and forth. Noriana has really stretched out her CS lead actually since they came back to meet each other in lane. Jankos, though, is now here to make himself known. Forces the flash out from Jezis, but Svenskaren's around there as well. Bottom lane will fall down. KMT picked that up. First turret of the game for them then. We do see Svenskaren just being a little bit of a nuisance, planting some wards in the KMT jungle, but he plants it straight on top of a pink, so it's immediately killed off again. The KMT give themselves a little bit of respite, give themselves a little bit of a boost down, having picked up that bottom tier 1 turret, but not out of the woods yet. Candy Panda and Nif are going to continue the push in that bottom lane, going to continue to try and answer that turret kill with one of their own. KMT got to keep Seller and Vander here to try and deal with it. Seeing an interesting build path coming out of Salave here, to be honest. It looks like he's going for a Trinity Force after that Vamp Scepter, but he needed the Vamp Scepter for sustain. The Trinity Force is well underway for Corki, and if Candy Panda finishes that too early before Ezreal, then that power spike Corki's going to get, it's going to really help SK stretch their lead. Yeah,
I think it's a case of two things. One, he wants more sustain and more tankiness against the Candy Panda Nif lane because it's a lot of harassment and a lot of irritation, but also because he was in that horrible position as an AD carry where he didn't have enough to build the BF sword outright, and he didn't want to be coming back to the lane with absolutely nothing. So in doing so, you're building 2 Doran's Blades, you've got a Vamp Scepter, and the components of both Zeal and also Phage, I guess he's going to be going for next. So he's okay, but in terms of raw trading potential, Candy Pan is going to come out ahead right now with that Phage.
Yeah, that uses his ult to push the wave. They don't want him in onto this turret for as much as possible, especially as Fiddlesticks is just based. They want to try and keep it alive as long as they can. They even brought Jarvan down to help out for a while Fiddle was gone. With another wave coming in, SK bearing down on that turret. Freddy's been up under this tier 2 turret now for quite some time, and he's been comfortably farming here against Zaxus 1-to-1. But as a result, even though they've gone wave for wave, Zaxus has been behind for quite some time. We do get an ult from Overpower in the mid lane, then pushes Jezzy into the wall. There's another barrel. They can't continue chasing onto that because once again, Svenskaren is in the KMT jungle as if it is his own.
That's because he's got boots of mobility and he's Lee Sin. So he's fancying his chances here. He realizes that he has the early game dominance. He's had a good start, and therefore he is trying to force this advantage home. Boots of mobility allows him to just be a constant pain in the backside to seamlessly move from one lane to another in just a matter of seconds. They're going to try and steal away this blue buff, so somewhat of a, you know, repayment from that first game that Jezis had, whereby every single blue buff was stole away from him. So perhaps SK Gaming are trying to go one better here, and they will actually be stealing that one away and backing on off.
Yep, with Jarvan forced to being up there, that means he cannot come down and help out the bottom lane, and SK managed to pick up their second turret of the game. Candy Banner and Nif picking that tier 1 up in the bottom lane. They're going to continue their push forward. Jezzy's no flash this time. There's going to be initially done by Jankos and Overpower. The ult comes out from Jarvan. They locked in, but the barrier's there. Shockwave comes down from Jezzy. It's going to force Overpower out, and the kick from Svenska can help. But a quick flash body slam gives Overpower the kill onto Jezzy. But will Jankos survive? Barrel comes down onto Svenska, and it's going to slow his attack speed. Flash away from Jankos before the slow goes down. Tempest triple misses completely, but Freddy's come from the top lane. Svenska lands the last Sonic Wave, goes in for the execute. Zaxus has come from top, and SK are rotating up from the bottom lane. They're going to keep the pressure up on mid.
A bit confused why Jankos went back in there. He could have flag and dragged away back to his own tower. So I'm not too sure. Maybe it was a case they didn't realise that the cavalry was coming in from SK Gaming. But in doing so, it actually cost him his life. Regardless, though, Svenskaren is going to be picking up this red buff right now. And that is going to be the kill going into SK Gaming. So 3-1, find themselves 4,000 gold ahead of 14 minutes, which is a pretty significant amount of difference right now. And also on top of that, a tower to the good. This mid tower, probably not long for this world with 850 hit points remaining.
Commander now with that bottom turret down. He's got to start cleaning the wards. They're quite deep within his own jungle. He's got a couple of pinks to deal with just that. He's then going to recall and base. He's nowhere near enough for an Oracle's yet, so he's got to cover a couple of other pinks to his name. But there is an Oracle's in Nif's bag, and he can't afford just that. Dragon coming in about 50 seconds. There's already 2 turrets down, and they've already grabbed the 1 turret, so as a result, there is a 4,000 gold lead for SK Gaming here. Now, they were behind at the start of the last game, and they managed to turn it around. They were behind at the start of the first game, and didn't turn it around. What can KMT do from the position of being behind? It's only 4k as opposed to the 8k that SK managed to turn, but we've been shown it's possible. They've got the Gragas this time around. They can stall, and they can hold wave after wave after wave and split push. Can they pull it off as well as SK did? SK, I must admit, have a much more hard engaged composition than KMT had last time around. But still, very, very risky for Sven's going to leap in with the ball on his head. But the Dragons coming in about 3 seconds, and SK are down here with almost all 5 members. Freddy was on his way, but they've decided actually we don't need you. At least Shyvana's stayed top. You can go back up there. And to be honest, KMT are just going to hand this Dragon over to SK all the same.
To give them another 1,000 gold lead now. And the crowd are applauding, realizing that every small objective, every small advantage is going to incrementally put SK further and further ahead and put KMT further and further back against the wall. But, you know, KMT are not a team that we've seen in this tournament a great deal of behind. They're normally taking the early advantages, and they're taking the early objectives, and they're the ones that are pushing down the inhibs as soon as possible. So let's see how they fare when it's a role reversal, when the shoe is on the other foot.
Zaxxas now at that point where he can start to trade more evenly with Freddy and is starting to push him away from that turret in the top lane. He did toy with the idea of bringing Jankos up, but I'm not sure they could really pull that off. Bottom lane, Svenskeren down here with that tier 2 turret now with Nif and Candy, preying on Vander and Selva from the distance. Keeping them a little bit worried. Jessis taking Jankos under the turret with him does deal a lot of damage in return, a little bit too deep on that attempted gank. Jankos hasn't revealed himself, gives them a little peace of mind in the top lane, and they go even deeper again. Zaxxas not winning out on the trade this time around. Overpower heads towards that bottom lane to try and see what help he can be, but with Lee Sin just comfortably stealing the red buff away and rotating back to mid, Gragas might be in trouble.
Shockwave was used before as well, so Jessis does not have that at his disposal. Overpower in his 1 versus 2. First Q will be missing from Svenskeren. Cripple and Tempest, however, could be landing very shortly. Here's Candy Panda as well. This doesn't look too good for Overpower. Is he going to be able to escape from this onslaught? Body slamming through. Here's Svenskeren. Will pick up the pieces, and at the same time, the tower goes down in mid from SK, so a big passage of play for SK Gaming.
Very nice rotate down from top to mid. Overpower was horribly overextended being out there. As soon as Jankos left him, he should have backed up to a more safer position. Freddy has been left alone in the top lane as Shyvana had to go down to the middle and help out the rest of their team. So he's going to get some more free damage down onto that tier 2 turret mid. And SK going to need some damage down to this tier 2 turret top. Other way around. Freddy's doing the damage to the top turret, SK doing the damage to the mid turret with the rest of them. And now Candy's a little bit solo with Selva down in the bottom. Now we saw what happened last time Candy was left solo with Selva. Absolutely destroyed him, but he was on Vayne that time, Corky this time. Not quite the same potential of skill-based play, but we do seem to have a bit of a respite period again. SK comfortable with the push they got, comfortable with that mid turret, comfortable with the extra kill. Not going to try and push their advantage too hard, but what they are going to do is take away yet another blue buff from KMT. They've gone from having amazing buff control in the first game to having absolutely none in this last game.
Yeah, very much the case right now. So it's got to that kind of stage where SK Gaming, they are ahead, well and truly ahead in this matchup. But we have seen this against Intellectual Playground, where they had 7,000-8,000 gold lead, and they threw it away by being too hesitant. They didn't push down the objectives, they allowed Vayne to get free farm and fed. Of course, Vayne's not being played this time around, but the idea still stands. They need to make sure they push for the win. They can't let up this aggression.
So up to a 7,000 gold lead now. Zaxxas back to pushing up this top lane, trying to get onto the tier 1 turret, but the Spirit Visage is complete on Renekton again, and a Chain Vest. So Shyvana is going to be doing next to no damage to that Renekton whatsoever, with both the magic resist and the armor blocking all of her different forms of damage. Bottom lane, Selva pushing that lane back out towards where the tier 1 turret used to be for SK. Well, there's a Candy Panda there to meet it and turn it straight back on and around again. Nif so far doing a good job of holding that mid turret against Gragas until Jessis gets back. Well, Jessis will be there shortly. Still a 20 CS difference between those mid laners. Oh, Mariana has an extra needlessly large rod to show for it.
So let's take stock of the situation for KMT. They've only got 1 kill on the board, and it is on Overpower, who is capable of making plays, he is capable of carrying his team, but it's looking pretty bare bones apart from that. They're behind in a number of areas right now, with everything to play for, everything on the line for KMT. They're going to have to rack their brains together, they're going to have to steady the ship and try and make some plays. But again, as you're saying, the buff control is not there from KMT. Svenskeren is now trying to just put down his dominance, put down the pressure on red buff, and there's nothing KMT have in their back pocket to stop this from happening. They have to just back away. They can't afford to go in their own jungle.
No, SK complete control over the forest. KMT. KMT got to stick to their lanes and wait for SK to come. Then Dominance gets popped in the top lane, so does Dragon's Descent, but Overpower's coming in round now behind Freddy. Does pop a great barrel, pushes him straight back in towards the turret, but Zaxxas is taking a lot of damage here from Freddy straight up. Now Overpower comes over the wall. The Ignite is ticking down. Flash away from Freddy 1-2-2. He's on the run from both of them, but in the bottom lane we do see the ult comes out from this. Celeber goes down incredibly low. Candy Panda, Valkyrie and flashes forward to pick up the kill. Renekton is still on the run, does fall down to the last auto attack to Zaxxas. Kills across the board for both teams, but SK have 4 members in this bottom lane, and with Celeber down, they're going to grab themselves a tier 2 turret. While they did kill Renekton in the top lane, there's no objective that can be taken from that without losing an inhibitor turret from KMT. So they have to back away, and they have to give up hope of potentially grabbing their top turret. We do see actually cancelled recall from Zaxxas when he realizes that SK aren't going to continue their push, but he's on low health and he has to be careful as he comes forward for here. He should have enough damage to get through this turret in a moment, as SK are sending no one up there and they're going to accept his fate and let it fall down. But the tier 2 turret in the bottom lane is a big pickup for them.
Yep, so SK Gaming coming out ahead, and even when KMT do manage to pick up a second kill, it's at the cost of a few more objectives, and that's the problem they're facing right now, is they can't make any impact after picking up kills. They're truly on the back foot. However, if we go back to game number 2, SK Gaming were in a pretty similar position to this Panky themselves, and they managed to bounce back. So it's still not impossible for KMT, but they need to start getting that ball rolling soon, or they face oblivion. They face actually getting knocked out, because it's going to get to a point where, again, Candy Panda is going to be absolutely huge alongside the Orianna, and that combo is going to tear through everybody. Here we go, the potential fight on the cards. True Shot Barrage comes through. Candy Panda will actually be picking up that dragon for SK Gaming. Yeah,
Svenska didn't even land his smite, wasn't even used. So the dragon went down very, very quickly, all the same. But SK then pick up themselves another 1,000 gold, up to an 8,000 gold lead now, and Nif with that Oracles helps Svenska and keep control of that jungle back. Sven's on his own this time around, there has to be a little bit more cautious as he goes on and in. Zaxxas back to trading comfortably with Freddy in the top lane. Freddy, who has broken 200 CS, Orianna, who has broken 200 CS. Oh, Celeber has broken 200 CS. Overpower. Really hairy moment as he was kicked out into the jungle by Lee Sin. So Freddy now and Zaxxas trading as SK rotate across in that direction thereabouts. Freddy slices and dices over the wall though as Svenska and walks across the ward and scares Zaxxas off.
Yep, so you can see some players congregating around the same area. Overpower has been caught again from Svenskeren, but they don't have the follow-up damage to make any plays off this. Meanwhile, SK pushing the top at the same time, while Candy Panda, very similar to game number 2, is going to the bot lane. So at some point, they're going to have to be very wary and cautious of that inhib potentially falling, or the inhib tower, I should say, potentially falling. But now you can see that SK, again, they're just going to be branching out and have that standard 1-3-1 formation. Pincer movement, a systematic push of all 3 lanes at the same time.
Blue buff going again to Svenska, and it might have been past Orianna, but either way it was taken away from KMT. And SK are picking themselves up every last little advantage they can. I mentioned Candy Panda in the bottom lane has sent Celeber down there to try and deal with him this time around. Microphone falls on my head. And, well, those two are just going to comfortably fight backwards and forwards again and take control of the lane. Barrier coming up for Celeber shortly. Has been up for Candy Panda in a while, but I don't imagine those two are really going to be fighting each other. Other than maybe an odd love tap and a back away here and there. Freddy with Svenska and putting a lot of pressure on this top tower. Does do a fair bit of damage to it, not enough to kill it yet, but it's down to its final third of health. And then SK back away a little bit as Overpower rotates around to getting a little bit behind him. Not a position you want Gragas to be, especially with that explosive cask off cooldown. And they do rotate into clearing out yet more walls. Candy Panda now goes towards the middle lane, starts to put some pressure on there, which pulls Overpower across. It does allow SK to get a little bit closer to this turret again. Another ult comes out from KMT. Celeber this time around to help clear another wave. But SK just keeping them busy.
Yeah, at the moment all the ultis seem to be defensive, just clearing away those creeps, keeping the towers alive. So with the recalls coming in thick and fast from SK, there's a lot of gold
for them to spend. Yeah.
You've got 3,000 on Candy Panda, 2,000 for Orianna, 1.3 for Svenskeren. So they're coming back into this game with big items. Rabadon's Deathcap, Athene's and Holy Grail, Last Whisper, Triforce as well on Corki. And look at that.
He's had the Triforce for a while, but he just bought that Last Whisper outright. Simple exactly. Straight up, 2,300 gold.
Renekton's huge as well. Like Spirit Visage, Sunfire Cape, good luck bursting through him. He's going to be alive a long time with Dominus.
Yes, he is. Axis pushing that top lane back up to where that turret used to be again, and then on the leave. Candy Panda will no doubt go up there in a moment and clean that wave out for himself. There we are. We do have Zaxus actually meeting head on with Orianna hidden by the Baron pit, but ultimately neither of these two could kill each other, so they shrug it off. But Zaxus now getting caught out with Svenskeren and Nif around the side. Beautiful kick from Svenskeren, cancels the Dragon's Descent. He does also get stunned up by Sonar. Zaxus is incredibly low, but the burn is there from the Ignite. They do get the kill. It goes over to Sonar, but it kills the kill. Shockwave goes down onto Overpower, pushes him back in. Body Slammer flashes out there to try and get him to safety. Dark Wind's there for the silence, but a quick flash stun comes out from Freddy122 to pick up the kill onto Gragas. And SK Gaming, in a very quick succession, pick up two important kills, 30-40 second timers on each of them, and with the Oracles up, they rotate straight back, clearing wards as they go and look for a Baron kill.
They do. I don't think there's a great deal that KMT can hope to do from this, unless Jankos wants to go in and one up on Svenskeren for that previous game. How much damage are SK going to take from this Baron right now? That's the question, and that surely should answer any doubts that KMT have of whether to go in or not. So they come round here. The Baron is already below 50% hit points. KMT don't seem too interested. The Damashian standard comes over from Jarvan. He's thinking about this potential steal, but there's Candy Panda jumping in the front. Here's Jankos from the side. He's instantly going to get popped over, so that shouldn't be the Baron falling anymore to KMT. True Shot Barrage comes through. Orianna trying to go one better as Corki will pick up that kill onto Fiddlesticks while Sonar actually goes down. The Baron gets picked up there from Renekton, and SK Gaming looking in such a commanding lead in this game. Candy Panda chasing down Celeber. They'll pick up that kill after Xaxus now, who's trying his best to escape on the Shyvana, but there's the Shockwave and the double kill going in for Candy Panda. Two brilliant games back to back.
Absolutely phenomenal player from SK Gaming, just about juggling the aggro from Baron backwards and forwards. Slivers of HP each, making sure they kept the Baron alive for as long as possible. Killed Jankos because he wasn't aware of when he could and couldn't come over that wall. Then did the same thing to Celeber as he tried to get in there knowing his jungler was dead. He tried to get every last little bit of damage off to seal it away, and they caught him and picked him off as he went. Fiddlesticks fell in the time. Yes, it took him a while, and yes, Overpower and Zaxos respawned and came back out, but the rest of their team was so dead by that point that SK were easily able to clean them up and actually killed Zaxos a second time over.
SK probably seeing that final stretch ahead of them now. They are well and truly. Yeah, that's a big chunk of change at 27 minutes, plus a Baron as well, so it's probably going to escalate in the next couple minutes, but they can see the home stretch, Panky. They are starting to sprint. The question is, can KMT throw a few hurdles in the way? Because at the moment, if it stays at this pace, they are going to lose this game.
Finally seeing some kills not on Svenskeren. Do you see Nif getting feared, but Svenskeren's there to help him out. He's going to go straight in onto Vander. He's got that red buff he just stole. Kicks Vander straight back in towards Nif. There's a lot of damage. Sonar comes out. Down goes Vander, despite there being 4 members of KMT here. Zaxus is incredibly low. Orianna shield onto Candy Panda is huge. Jankos does use the flag and drag straight across onto Freddy122 to knock him up and slow the attention. But KMT are going to lose this tier 2 turret in mid lane as all 5 members of SK are here and they're pushing. Vander down and not much health on the rest of KMT. SK with his Baron buff are going to siege them all day long.
They have the poke, they have the potential engage out of thin air as well. So right now KMT, they're going to have to wait for Vander, who didn't pop his Crow Storm. That is definitely still on the cards when he comes back around, plus the explosive cast, but this tower is starting to take some punishment right now. SK coming in, thick and fast, Svenskeren going to the back lines. He has overextended though. There's the war jump in the meanwhile, buying his team enough time to pick up that inhib tower. They're going to go one better, I have to feel here, and pick up the inhibitor as well, unless KMT have something to say about it, but they're being poked down constantly. This inhib will be falling to SK Gaming, and they should be backing on away as well. Very, very nicely played. Clinical inhib pickup.
Yeah, a nice little dance there in and around KMT while inside their base. Just for short, they got the damage down onto the inhib while poking down the right targets and making sure the engage never came. And again, they pick up the blue buff and they pick up the red buffs. And again, KMT just don't have anything from their own jungle. And SK coming out of all that with, of course, the Baron regen, giving them plenty of health for their safe retreat. Do you see a quick push up the mid lane from Overpower and Celeber, trying to get themselves a consolation tower? They should grab this first one very, very quickly. Maybe a second one if they have some speed, but I imagine they're going to get interrupted halfway through by the home guarding Lee Sin and Renekton combo. Candy Panda's down in the bottom lane. There is the interrupt. And actually Svenskeren is looking to go a bit deeper on this. Does land the Sonic Wave despite the ult. Kicks Overpower back in towards the turret. They're going to keep the chase. Forces him to flash, body slam, sorry, away in towards the red buff. Celeber's still chasing another Sonic Wave. Body slams into the red. Overpower will fall down to Svenskeren. Fails his flash to Golems. Svenskeren with the help from Jesus picks up another kill. Bando with the ult defensively to use it with a flash. Jaxus is going to come in and try and chase onto Candy Panda. He's got a lot of damage, but he's dying very quickly to Freddy and Candy. Silver's in full retriever, doesn't have much mana to himself as well. Zaxus is going to go down to Svenskeren and Nif as a combo. Crescendo used to pick up the kill. That's not something you see every day. Jesus is pushing top. SK have picked up 3 kills, and with a 4-man push up this mid lane, I'm not sure the 2 remaining members of KMT can stay to save this next.
They've surrendered, Panky. They've actually thrown in the towel, so your victors for the Dreamhack Winter 2013 are going to be SK Gaming after losing in that first game. They're 1-0 down, very nearly knocked out in game 2 as well, but they bounced back in the best possible way, crushing through game